live and only 6 minutes late. That's not bad for qualifying that just ended like half an hour ago or 45 minutes ago. We got the Dom station up, we got the research station up, we got the notes up, and now we got the stream up for the first real race of the season, NASCAR trucks at Daytona, one of the funnest races of the year. And with me to break it all down, as always, is the king of DFS Army, the king of DFS Army NASCAR, the king of the Domination Station. Taco, are you ready for the season to finally begin?
Yes, and glad to be reunited again with Brandon Queen, the queen of the Truck Series.
Yes, the king and the queen of the Truck Series. Shout out everybody. I think this will be a popular stream. I know there's a lot of buzz around this race. Tony Stewart back.
I think I'm more excited for this race than the 500. Hot take, but
yeah,
how star-studded this is.
And there's Miami Mike Cletus making his real NASCAR debut. Couple ARCA starts, but those don't really count. This is the true start. So welcome to Cletus fans. Welcome to the fans that Tony Stewart brought back into the fray. We are going to break it all down. A couple housekeeping notes. I said I was going to do this stream on my other YouTube channel. I've changed my mind. I decided we'll do all this. It's the opening week. We can do all the streams on the main channel. We'll ask for forgiveness when Geek notices. So we'll do the Xfinity, we'll do the Cup Series streams on this channel. Moving forward after this weekend, we'll do the Cup Series breakdowns on this channel and then do the smaller races on my other YouTube channel. I'll share the link for that a little later. We have 2.5 hours to lock Taco. This is probably going to take about an hour and a half. And I haven't made my lineups yet. I've reserved them, but not made them. So we better get started.
No point in making them yet. Let's break through this whole thing and then shake them down. Yeah,
that's right. Let's start with a little bit of Domination Station setup here. Our first full slate. So Taco, what do you look for settings wise on the Dom Station?
So it's a weird approach for super speedways because salary does not matter. So when we're going through this thing, we're just going to sort by salary. And basically just think of it as a giant rankings. Your favorite players should have the highest projection. Your least favorite players have the lower ones or lowest ones. I have the top 10 set as the Dominators for now. I think at most one is a perfect rule for that. And yeah, that way we don't have more than one guy starting in the top 10. Xfinity, you can maybe talk me into that, but not in the Truck Series. I'm sorry. The thing with the Truck Series is sometimes the guys that are starting in the very, 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 very back don't score as well as the guys starting 20th to 30th or whatever. But for the most part, all three series, you know that the scoring is going to favor the guys starting way, 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 way in the back. A lot more than the guys starting in the front. And the guys starting up front are almost completely full fades, and you've been able to get away with that completely here. We'll go into the historical breakdown here in a bit, but for the DS setup, I mean, I'd first probably start off by setting 50% max on everyone, kind of moving up and down from there, looking at your guys at the very bottom, thinking who needs a min to be put on, like who are the least viable plays I could see getting in there. And later on, we'll probably end up having to make a shitter rule so they do not all get jammed together at the very end. But the at most one Dominator is the perfect rule for this slate. You just don't want more than one of those guys in the top 10. Other than that, it's pretty much just going to be your usual stacking from the back. Like the tournament mode, I like running. This is where I'd run 2 unique. Most of the time I only do 1 unique, but at super speedways, with there being no real ties probably, at least not many ties. I mean, you saw some ties in the duels with how small those fields were. Sure, this is a much smaller field in the Cup Series, but we're probably not going to get many ties up there, so you can kind of just send it. Probably want to go on the higher side of randomization since it's the truck, since this race should almost certainly get chaotic, probably push around like 18% or so. It's kind of what I like for this DS setup as for now.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And you do slap on tournament mode for this as well. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Chad, looks like you're probably watching. There's a shorts feed and a reel feed. If you go into your YouTube app and look at the other feed, I should make the other one unlisted. But anyway, you're probably watching in the shorts feed. If you go look, you can have the real feed and it'll be easier to see that way. Maybe I should fix that. Anything else here in the Dom station when you're setting up for a truck series race? Obviously, it's a lot different when you talk about, Daytona.
I think, so far we have, only a Cup Series, 2 Cup Series duels to go off of. Something you may consider looking at here is now we've got 4 manufacturers in the Truck Series, with the addition of Ram. You may want to take some time and set up, put all of your different manufacturers in groups, and then do a between 3 and 4 to kind of get a stack of those groups, or at least 3, or even at least 4, just for some manufacturer jams, just in case it comes down to that. But instead of putting in all lineups, because I would troll you, if you're running 150 lineups, you could do like a minimum of 5 lineups, or like a minimum of 10 lineups, just to get a few handful of those manufacturer stacks, just in case things get single file at the very end. And when they're single file, a lot of the time that single file are guys from the same manufacturer pushing each other. Or you even get, if there's a green flag run at the end, very unlikely, but if there is, a lot of times they get split up by pit strategy. You'll have all the Fords go together, all the Toyotas go together, all the Chevys go together. If it ends like that, you need to have those manufacturer stacks in, at least splash in a few for each.
Yeah, absolutely. Makes a lot of sense. And brilliant fill while I fix the stream on my other monitor. So we're good to go. The stream should be fixed. With all that said, your Dominator setup, let's get into the research station and break this down. There it is. Driver by driver. How do you want to do this? Do you want to sort by starting spot again?
Yeah, we should just look at historical real quick.
Yeah,
so
let's go back
to for anyone that's new here. These are the top scores pretty much of all time, going back to 2016, the last 10 years here in the Truck Series. You can go back a little bit farther than the Cup Series because things haven't really changed for this truck. And you'll see Austin Hill's the only person in the top 10 that we can even see of these top scores.
Yeah, and that was 7 years ago at this point. So yeah, this chart is sorted by DK points or fantasy points scored all time. And as you can see, it all, or for the most part, comes from outside of the top 20. A lot of the time comes outside the top 25. Have we ever, what's the best scoring like pole sitter? There's Johnny Sauter back in 2018, had a very good score. There, got to go to Kaz Grala in 2017. He would have been the optimal that year. So it's been almost a decade since we've seen somebody start on the front row and hit the optimal, and that was Johnny Sauter. If we go over to historical summary as well, you can kind of get an idea of where the points are going to come from. So this is averages by starting position, or you could look even over here at averages by 5 starting positions. So that top 12 barely ever scores over 20 points. Once you get into 13th or even 15th and lower, you start to get a little more viable, and 25th back is kind of the sweet spot. So the strategy for trucks at Daytona for me has always been 1, at max 2, starting in the top 15, almost always at most 1 starting in the top 15. And then you stack the back with I always try to focus on guys that have experience and are starting in the back. But really, you can be really aggressive with your ownership for anybody starting outside of the top 25. Because as you can see, it's a big delta between, the guys starting in the top 15 versus the guys starting 25th and back.
I think the most important thing to look at here is the percentage of the time they hit 50 fantasy points. Because if you look at all of the winning scores here, the guys in winning lineups, there are only 2 times where they've scored less than 50 points, and they score like 48 and 47 points. So think of 50 points as the threshold that you're going to need.
Yeah.
Because most of the scores that are in the winning lineups could be 50 plus. Guys starting in the top 12 have like an 8% or less chance of hitting 50 points, as where guys starting in that sweet range between 21st and 32nd all have about a 1 in 3 chance of hitting the optimal, which is amazing. That's where we're going to be concentrating all of our lineups in. And interestingly enough, the guys that start way, way, way in the back, like the actual real shitty trucks, only about a quarter of the time, still pretty good.
Yeah.
But usually they're starting in the rear for a damn reason.
Yeah. Another thing we should do, let's sort this by start position and then by DK top 6. And you can kind of see in the last, how far does this go back? 2016?
Mm-hmm.
So in the last 10 years, only 3 times has somebody in the top 10 hit the optimal lineup. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah. But compared to some other, like compared to the Cup Series, a bit more of the guys from the teens kind of end up making it. And you look at those are your, big names, your guys that ended up becoming something. Chase Briscoe, Zane Smith, Joe Nemechek. Shout out Joe Nemechek, Justin Haley, your usual sort of suspects here.
Yeah, and the truck race is particularly chaotic in that way. The Cup Series, and even more so the Xfinity race as of late, has been super chaotic, or hasn't been that chaotic. The truck race tends to always be chaotic due to the eclectic mix of drivers. And you look at this field, we've got guys making their NASCAR debut, their plate race debut. We've got Cup guys making their Truck Series debuts. We've got a bunch of Cup guys in the field. We got celebrities. We've got all sorts in this field. So I anticipate this being a very chaotic race. Yeah, even the top 20, like in the last 10 years, only, what is that, 15 drivers starting in the top 20 have hit the optimal.
Yeah.
Insane. And then you go down and you can start to see where, that 25 to kind of 35% range is where you want to target.
Mm-hmm. And all the thing is, like, even if you've got a guy who's starting in the top 10, hitting the optimal, first off, no one ever scores the optimal, like the exact optimal, especially if there's a really low-owned guy that's in there, because chances are they score like 0.2 fantasy points more than someone else starting like 30-something. And so we're not chasing the absolute full-on nuts here. We're really just trying to put ourselves in the position to squeak out a top 0.1% lineup, because that's going to truly be in contention. All these bases are not going to be covered.
Yeah, for sure. Looking back, let's even just look back real quick at what the race looked like last year. I'll sort by laps led here. So Chandler Smith had a really good run. He started 6th, found the front in the middle of the race, and kind of stood there all day. Was able to, I think he had to pit late or something. Was able to recover to 7th. That would have been an optimal run. Ben Rhodes had a pretty good performance, though he didn't finish that well. Gio Ruggiero was really good on all the plate tracks last year. Mm-hmm. I don't know if he can repeat that. This is a much more competitive field. But another thing to note, not really worth trying to track fast laps, because the distribution is just...
It's random, pretty much.
It's pretty random. So you can kind of focus on fast laps or on laps led, but even that, it's really hard to get an idea of who might be the dominators in this race. That's why it's so much easier to focus on place differential.
And I think a big thing with this race is just look at the yellow on the laps here. Like, how many caution flags? We almost never had a stretch of green throughout this race. It was chaotic. And then 2024 is even worse. Like, at the end, there are so many overtimes. I mean, it's just what we're expecting. We're expecting things to just be a shit fest here, and we're trying to work within that. It's actually somewhat predictable in a way. I'd kind of prefer this over Xfinity and Cup, where sometimes it's not a shit fest. At least in trucks, it's guaranteed.
Yeah, you get a lot of them, especially in Xfinity, just the nature of those cars, that somebody pulls the dominant line to the top and they just run around the top and bang off 30 laps. I don't think we've had a run at Daytona longer than 15 laps in the Truck Series. So, yeah, I don't think so. So should be an interesting race. All that said, let's hop into it. We'll start at the top, go all the way down to the bottom. If you have questions, put them in the chat. I'll do my best to get to everyone. Lineup questions, driver questions, procedure questions, whatever. We'll try to get to them. But it starts with Ty Majeski, and we immediately move to Michael McDowell, because I am not going to play any Ty Majeski here.
Can we look at the top 12 as a monolith to save some time? Because
probably. I mean, we should go through. There are some names here.
They're going to be optimal like 3 to 8% of the time. You could maybe take some shots at. Like, I would say the one guy that looks interesting to me is Gio, with just how elite he's been, consistently leading laps at these super speedways. And with Corey Heim gone, and most of the top tier drivers in this race, either being from other series or not full-time drivers, there aren't really any standout favorites here. But even then, we're talking about just like a splash of these guys, Chandler Smith, maybe another one. But I think the top, almost the complete top 10, maybe the top 8. I would probably avoid maybe Honeycutt and Heimscar, maybe.
Yeah. I think McDowell and Hocevar, maybe you can talk about, just because I think there's a situation where those guys just kind of bully the field. They're teammates, they're team cars, they're among the most experienced in the field. You could see a situation where McDowell gets behind Hocevar, vice versa, and those guys just play defense for 80 or 90 straight laps. So I don't mind getting a little exposure to McDowell or Hocevar just because of those reasons. But yeah, other than that, even Gio Ruggiero, I'm not super bullish on, given how, obviously he was really good on plate races last year, super dominant. But this is a uber competitive field. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of really skilled plate drivers coming from the back. I just don't know if he can get to the front and hold that space for an extended period of time. Jared, good rule. Only one driver in the top 10. I would even extrapolate that down to I use the top 15. Mm-hmm. I don't want more than one driver as a top 15. And, the majority of that will probably be Hocevar and McDowell.
And that's perfect because it allows you to work with Justin Haley down at 16th. I think one of the top 15 is perfect. I think that's wonderful.
Yeah. Worth talking about Cletus because I think there's a lot of people that are interested in how he might do today. Luckily, from a DFS perspective, not much to talk about. Just starting 12th, not a ton of upside. I don't think Cletus will go out and dominate. That would be very surprising. So he's kind of out of contention from a fantasy perspective. But just from a outlook perspective, I wouldn't be surprised to see him have a decent kind of quiet run. He had good runs in ARCA, and this is better equipment than he ever had in the ARCA series. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Cletus compete for kind of a top 15, top 10 here.
Look, this is great for the sport. It's called Eyes on the Sport. Cletus bringing in the youth, big YouTuber. Love to see it. Same with Travis Pastrana. Name everyone knows. My brother was looking at my sheet and he was like, "What? Travis Pastrana? Are you kidding me?" And I'm like, "Well, there's Frankie Muniz down there too." And he's like, "Tony Stewart? That guy's still around?"
We've got a YouTuber, Malcolm in the Middle, Travis Pastrana, Tony Stewart. What a crazy field.
Oh, man.
But yeah, Cletus, I think, will have a good run. Not super relevant from a DFS perspective. Probably not going to be super high owned. Travis Pastrana, kind of the same way. I think we have more data points on Travis Pastrana. He ran a full Xfinity season years and years ago, and it was pretty catastrophic. He did run this race, I think, 2 years ago in 2023 and had a decent run, but not enough to pay off a 13th place starting spot.
Yeah, in the top 20 at the 500. So, I mean, he could be fine. It's just starting top 13. You don't really care. People are going to click on him because of name probably at this point of the season.
But you do, if you're going to run 150 lineups, you got to have one with Cletus, just out of respect.
Oh, of course. Yeah, definitely. Don't get me wrong here. I would say I'd full fade the top 8. Maybe not Hocevar, maybe not McDowell. Actually, maybe a McDowell for me, but maybe not Hocevar, but top 8's on full fade. Now we're starting to get into the literal 1, 2, 3% guys.
Yeah.
The shedder rule is in play here.
Yeah, I'm with you. Probably good to not play single entry tonight. You certainly can. I don't mind playing single entry, but I think it's in terms of where you get the most value. Plate racing GPP is one of the biggest value opportunities in the entire NASCAR car season, just because you have to play them so different, and you get a couple, or you get to compete against some lineups that don't play those. I mean, it's way better than it was years ago. Back in the day, This was free money every year, but still, I think it's a great opportunity to play GPPs. And there's a bunch of, I think they just put up another mini max. There's opportunities to play 150 lineup runs.
Yeah, single entry, no. Cash, though, yes. If you just want to play this as cash, not a bad slate. You could even hedge in cash and maybe run an optimal of just mix and matching the guys from the very, very back and running a spread out cash game format that way, doing a bunch of head-to-heads, a bunch of double-ups, a bunch of 3-mans, 5-mans. That's actually a pretty solid strategy long-term for if you're just not a fan of GPP. with races like this with wrecks and stuff, that is actually a very valid way to go about it.
Yeah, and you stack the back with a cash lineup, and 3 or 4 crashes generally puts you in the money. And as long as you miss the chalk bombs.
We're talking more like 8 to 10 crashes here, so should be good.
Yeah. Taylor Gray is probably the first one I tried to get a little bit of leverage on. Taylor Gray's a great plate driver. We saw it at Talladega and Atlanta last year. He had really good runs, and there's just something about an Xfinity full-timer or a Cup full-timer that comes back to the Truck Series. It comes with so much more confidence. So I did try to get a little bit of leverage on Taylor Gray. That was just kind of a personal spot, but in theory, technically, probably not a guy you need to get much exposure on.
Yep, and the truck race is in about 2 hours.
Yeah, I think it starts at 7:30 Eastern, something like that. Yeah, so a couple hours to get your lineups in. Tony Stewart starts 15th, and man, this is such a big question mark on the slate. Tony Stewart, in his heyday, was literally unbeatable at Daytona, especially in the Xfinity series. Like, he won how many Xfinity races in a row at Daytona? Ludicrous. He's one of the greatest plate racers of all time. But that was over 15 years ago. And this is a new manufacturer in a series that he has seldom run. I want to believe, in my soul, in my heart, I want to believe my goat isn't washed. But there's a good chance that Tony Stewart is not going to be super competitive here. But you want to talk about a guy with upside, more experience than anyone in the field, more wins here than anyone in the field. One of the greatest plate racers of all time in any series. You can certainly make a case, but I don't know. It's been a long time since we've seen Tony Stewart be uber competitive.
And since he's gone out and started SRX and everything and done that whole thing, his last race in NASCAR just straight up was 10 years ago, a whole decade. Me and him are both, still high off of our Indiana Hoosiers championship. That's great and all. Tony Stewart, I love you, my man. Starting 15th and having not raced for a decade is going to be a tough sell for me. I will be rooting for him, but it's going to be an emotional hedge off of DFS because I'm not playing him in DFS.
Yeah,
but I do want to point out, I will be super happy for him.
Absolutely, I want to point out how ludicrous this is. 1 in 2005, 2006. 2008, 2009, 2010, 2011, 2013. Also won at Talladega in 2008. Actually has never run a plate race in the Truck Series, but a couple Daytona wins in the Cup Series in the summer race as well. Just one of the greatest of all time when it comes to plate racing.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that was 20 years ago.
We'll see if Unk still got it.
We'll see. I think if you want to emotionally invest in Tony Stewart, maybe on the sports book is a better place to do it. Kind of a top 5, top 10 kind of play. Those Ram practice times are slow. I know it may not mean much in the draft, but worth noting. Yeah, I think that's a huge question mark. And it's one of the big things on this slate is how competitive the Rams are going to be because they were not super competitive in practice. They didn't do much in the draft. Maybe that's because they didn't want to show their hand, or maybe that's just because they were more focused on making sure qualifying went well. Hard to say. But yeah, we don't know anything about these Rams, and the other manufacturers don't know how they push. They don't know how they receive a push. They don't know how they give a push. Probably going to cause some issues in that way. But I will say there's a lot of spec on these trucks. So I would be very surprised if Ram came out and kind of airballed because the engines are so similar, if not identical, between trucks. And I don't think NASCAR would let a manufacturer come into the sport and immediately lay an egg. I suspect they'll be fine, but you never really know.
Yeah. It's just a complete unknown. We can't really sit here and conjecture either way. Practice times historically have been pretty noisy at the super speedways, and they weren't really out in the draft like that. So it's going to be kind of a wait and see part of the season for Ram.
With the amount of money you've seen Ram invest into the sport, and like they're bringing in Tony Stewart, guys like Justin Haley, they've spent a ton of money on marketing and obviously a ton of money to get into the sport. I suspect they will be very competitive. I just don't know at what level.
Yeah.
Justin Haley starts 16th. Elite. I wouldn't say elite, but a very good plate driver. Had a lot of success in the Xfinity Series. Was very good in some of his Cup starts on plate tracks as well. Again, just in a Ram. Hard to know what he can bring with that equipment, but there's a reason why Justin Haley's in this truck, and it's because he's very good and very good specifically on plate tracks.
Yeah, and he's just like at every level, he's done extremely well at these super speedways. Haley's the first guy that I like quite a bit in these teens here, and we have seen plenty of optimal guys coming from the teens once we started getting to this lower teens range. So no problem with a co-favorite going in, at least, on Mr. Justin Haley. Even with the new situation, he's the one guy where the skill is going to come into play here, because there aren't really that many guys that are in top tier form when it comes to the super speedway races. A lot of your good guys in that realm are getting on the older side or gone now. Don't mind me some Haley.
Yeah, I'm with you. It might be difficult. It might be difficult to get major leverage, because I do think the secret's out on Justin Haley. He's probably going to be 15 to 20% owned, but still a decent play. Clay Greenfield, what a qualifying effort from this 95 truck. Clay Greenfield has had decent runs, but probably nothing that would get you excited to play him starting 17th.
Yeah, I mean, he's done this a few times now. Not really a whole lot to say here, you know.
Corey LaJoie, heartbroken, missed the Daytona 500 last night after RFK dominated that race 1, 2, 3, 4 for about 80% of it, and then somehow, some way, Brad Keselowski ends up the only one getting a finish. But LaJoie still gets one crack at Daytona. That'll be in the 75 truck that actually crossed the line first in this race last year. And I think LaJoie has similar upside than as Kligerman would have in this situation as well.
Yeah, and one thing you may notice when you're looking at the track history here and comparing it to like the official records is like, man, everyone's off by one spot. What's that about? For me, this 75 car ran by Parker Kligerman did win the race, because when I look at NASCAR, I only look at it through a fantasy lens. And DraftKings paid out Kligerman like he won. And so canonically for me, he won the race. That's just how we work here. When we're looking at these numbers, it's literally only about what DraftKings has paid us for. So that's what we care there. Corey LaJoie, I'm not really all that teary about him missing the 500. I kind of think, for me personally, he always kind of talks about himself like he's big shit. And this is a nice, humble reminder that anything can happen here at these super speedways. Although RFK did look like they were just freaking cheating last night.
Yeah, they looked great. I think that LaJoie is a great driver. I think he's, if Kligerman can win in the 75 truck, LaJoie certainly can too. I just think we have seen this 75 truck have mechanical issues at times. It's not A-tier equipment by any means. It's decent enough equipment. It's race-winning equipment, but it's not the most reliable stuff. So, yeah, I think, Corey's the kind of guy that you look to match the field. I wouldn't make an effort to go overweight on personally, but, still has, obviously, if Kligerman won this race last year, LaJoie can do the same.
Yeah, and he's done well in the Cup Series and all that.
Yeah, absolutely. John Hunter Nemechek, the king of Daytona, according to the Fox broadcasts over the last couple Cup Series events. He starts 19th in the 62 truck, same equipment that Stuart Friesen will be running. Decent enough gear. John Hunter Nemechek is a good plate racer and has had good runs on plate races in the Truck Series, including a third place last year. Fine play, doesn't jump off the page for me. This isn't elite stuff either, but I think starting 19th, you're starting to get into the area where you're looking at guys, which guys you want to get leverage on.
I mean, yeah. How many times did this car run last year? Let me see.
Maybe 10 races, something like that.
Yeah. It should be fine. It is John Hunter Nemechek. He's kind of just like there for LaJoie with me. We're probably gonna go touch over the field, maybe.
Yeah, match at most, maybe be a little bit under. These are the kind of plays you're like, if you come out of this race and it's like I didn't make money, or I broke even, or lost a little money, and it's because you got beat by LaJoy or John Hunter, you kind of just got to put your hands up.
Yeah.
These aren't guys you can feel super comfortable taking a stand on.
Yeah, usually these are the guys that if they're optimal, they're just kind of barely breaking into it or whatever. They're not the ones that destroy the slate. Like, I don't see John Hunter going out there and leading all these laps in a Toyota. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Yep, for sure. Starting 20th, Dawson Sutton, who ran really well at didn't run really well at Talladega, but finished really well at Talladega. I think this is a bit of an overqualify. Obviously, truck race carnage happens, so still playable, still worth getting some exposure to. But him, along with Kitzmiller at the 21st starting spot, both guys under 10%, I think.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what to make of these guys. They don't look all that interesting to me.
Brendan Queen starts 22nd in a Ram as well. He's kind of the face of the Ram squad, at least going into the season. As far as I know, he only has ARCA experience on plate races, has never run a plate race in Trucks or Xfinity. So this will be a bit of a learning experience for him. I think he's a fine play, starting 22nd, but again, not a guy I'm looking to get major leverage on.
Yeah, I'm going to like him at different track types a bit more for sure. Starting 22nd, that's where you're sort of getting into the range of, guys that are starting in the back half of the field, and they're solid enough plays. I don't think he'll even be like super popular, so I might drift around, just be maybe a touch over the field. Again, with Ram, who knows? Kind of trying to match the field on those guys, just because they're a giant unknown. I feel like just flag planting them probably isn't the right move. Avoiding them isn't the move. I'm just going to kind of let them exist in a race like this. And this is really like, this is just a wait and see. We've got to see how they do well overall. We just don't know yet.
Absolutely. Starting 23rd, my Canadian brother, the Canadian butcher, Cole Butcher, making his Daytona debut, ran a couple truck races last year. Great to have a full-time Canadian in the field. That being said, I'm pretty sure Cole Butcher has never been on a track bigger than Phoenix. I'm pretty sure Phoenix, the last race of last year, would have been the larger track he's ever been on. He's never run a plate race before. He's in a new manufacturer, has only run a handful of truck races. So I think it's a fine sprinkle play, but another guy that I'm probably not going to get much leverage on. If he finishes well, I think it'll be off the back of surviving carnage. I don't expect Cole to try. I think there'll be opportunities to play Cole. I'm a Cole believer, but I'm not sure this is the week to do it.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes ThorSport is just fast as a team, and maybe that would be a route for him to do really well here. But again, the inexperience is key here. It's kind of the same problem with Queen. It's like it's hard to really be super confident on a guy who we saw at Bristol last year, Phoenix, whatever. That's what he's used to. Hey, it's a short track. I'm down for some Cole Butch, man.
Yeah,
I think he was coming in cheap. He was coming in under-owned, but here, I don't know if this is the right spot for him.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think there'll be some opportunities to play him on some of the shorter tracks later in the season, but probably won't be too overweight on Cole Butcher. In fact, I'll probably be a little underweight. And I talk about Canadian. Another Canadian right beside him, Stuart Friesen, starting 24th. Stuart Friesen has never been much of a plate race guy. He's been in the series for almost 10 years now. I think at Daytona, he has 2 top 10s, and those are both 9th and 10th place finishes. Just not his specialty. Fine play. He starts 24, so there is some place differential upside, but not a guy we see go and run at the front of these races.
Yeah, and coming off a devastating injury, I mean, I don't see why you would play a bunch of Friesen here. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. Starting 25th is Nick Lights, who's an interesting spot because I think for a lot of years, or at least the last couple of years, he's been almost an unfriend, as Geek would say. Wait, do I have it? Can I do the bit? Hold on. I can't find it. I think I deleted it.
Rip.
Oh, wait. Here it is.
Unfriend you.
That's not how it works.
It is indeed how it works. How it worked with Nick Lights.
But Nick Lights, he did okay in those starts where he had pretty bottom grade equipment. Now he takes over the 5 truck for Tony Breidinger. This is a Tricon truck. This is good gear. This is the same gear that Corey Heim had last year. Same gear that Caden Honeycutt had. I think maybe down the road on non-plate tracks is when we're going to have the opportunity to play Nick Lights and maybe catch the field sleeping. But still, if Nick Lights is only going to be 10 to 12% owned starting 25th in one of the best trucks in the field, I don't mind getting a little bit of exposure. This is the first, big leverage spot I see here because this is a really good truck.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't mind it. I mean, sure, Breidinger wasn't all that great in it last year, but she's frankly not all that great herself. Nick Lights is solid. Should be a good spot to get leverage. Hopefully comes in low owned. I could see him easily coming in low owned, just starting towards the back, but not far enough to really be, someone interesting there. And people see Nick Lights, are used to him being in shittier tier equipment, deep in the 5K, starting deep in the field. And, you may think he overqualified. This is actually fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially for that truck. It's fine.
And in the truck series, we have seen this like middle to lower part of the 20s pretty much score about as well as guys in the 30s.
Yeah. Yeah. This is, if you go back to the historical summary, you look at this kind of 23rd, or actually let's do it over here. The kind of 25, 24th, 37, 25th to 28th is 37, 29th to 32 is 37, and even further back is a little lower. So this is kind of the sweet spot.
Mm-hmm. Now we're getting to, this is like the meat and potatoes of the slate right here. And you look at the ownership of the guys on the lower end, which people will gravitate towards if they're just going to stack from the back. Like the middle back is good too.
Yeah, for sure. And I can already hear the Discord chirping at me for recommending Chris Wright. I know the public perception of Chris Wright is pretty low, but if there is any bright spots to his skill set, it is plate racing. He is a capable plate racer, and this is the best gear he's ever had. This 81 truck is legit, and with the right driver, I would say it was borderline championship contending. It's the same stuff that Daniel Hemrick has. It's the same stuff that Christian Eckes has. So I don't mind playing Chris Wright here. It's the optimal starting spot. He's a guy that's probably going to go a little lower owned than he ought to. Obviously, he's a bit of a crash risk. You got to, but everybody's a crash risk at Daytona. So I don't mind grabbing some leverage on Chris Wright, who has probably borderline top 10 upside. He finished 11th at Talladega last year.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the best teams in all of NASCAR. So, if you uncheck Chris Wright, that may hurt you McAnally.
Boo.
Okay.
McAnally. Ben Rhodes starts 27th. He's been one of the most consistent guys on plate races over the course of the last decade, I guess you should say. Mm-hmm. And always kind of playable because for whatever reason, he does not qualify well on plate tracks. But you look at his track history, he's won here before, finished in the top 5 more than a handful of times, has had a rough run as of late, but that just means there's some positive regression due for Ben Rhodes. I think this will be a popular play.
Yeah, smash. This is a smash for me.
Yeah, I'm with you. I will probably be pretty overweight on Ben Rhodes, especially to help you get off some of the chalk that we're going to talk about here in a second. Andres Perez Dallara, or Dallara? I'm not sure if it's Dallara or Dallara. He starts 28th in a Nice Motorsports truck. Fine play, borderline top 15 pretty much every time he runs a plate race. This is just a play that you're looking at because optimal starting spot for a DFS slate.
Mm-hmm. I like this play a lot too. Doesn't have a ton of experience, but he's getting more and more. I don't mind him at all.
Yeah, and I think for a lot of years we had reliability concerns when it came to Nice Motorsports. I think they've kind of shaken that tag over the course of the last few years. They've been pretty reliable. If not, they're not A-tier equipment, I don't think, unless the right driver's in it, but still decent enough.
Fast when it's not a short track.
Yeah, I mean, Carson Hocevar got a lot of mileage out of them. Decent equipment.
Honeycutt was really fast with him.
Absolutely, yeah. Honeycutt did well as well. Josh Reaume starting 29th. Fine sprinkle play. If this race gets super carnagey, he's a guy that tends to hang out at the back, whether that's by choice or by the speed of his truck. But there was word that these are old front row trucks. That was the news that came out of the Rockingham test I had a couple weeks ago, that Reaume had bought a couple old front row motorsports trucks. So maybe these are a little more competitive than usual. And even still, Josh Reaume tend to run in the top 20, even if these aren't new trucks. So a fine play, just not as aggressive as some of the other plays in this area.
And you don't need to be as aggressive with some of these plays in this area because this is by far the lowest, I think, of anyone in this sweet zone. So you don't really need to play a fuckload of Josh Rayum to have some pretty good leverage. And he's like smack dab in the middle of where you'd want to be starting wise.
Yeah.
He has been known to avoid wrecks and overperform or overfinish where he's ran in his own team. Like, don't mind this play at all.
Yeah. And like I said, he's a guy that tends to run in the back. So if you're building lineups from a Carnage perspective, if you're chasing Carnage, if your script that you're laying out in your head is Carnage based, and Josh Rayum's a guy probably can get some pretty easy leverage on. From there, now we need to hop into the uber chalk of this slate, starting with Ricky Stenhouse Jr. making his Truck Series debut. That's crazy that he's never had a truck start before for as much time he spent in NASCAR and in the Xfinity Series. Elite plate driver, really solid plate driver, a contender for the Daytona 500 on Sunday in the A truck for Nice Motorsport. This is Phil Gould's truck. That's the best one they have generally. This is just going to be a really chalky play, but probably still a good one.
It's almost scary. I don't want to call it a bait play, but you've got Stenhouse running this first ever truck race. It doesn't matter for him. He's just out there doing his thing. He is Ricky Stenhouse Jr. I think it's kind of a checkers record situation, which is great for fantasy. However, I don't know if I would lock bro. I would probably play him in cash, but it's a little dicey compared to some other guys here. It's not as free of a play as like Lane Riggs.
Which one says it's bait? Do not do it, guys. That's
I just got that feeling. I don't know, man.
That's such a Ricky Stenhouse thought, though. Like, he's just, no matter what the situation, whether it's in the Xfinity Series or the Cup Series, wherever Ricky Stenhouse is starting, even if it looks like the best play in the world, it's always like, I don't know. It's Ricky Stenhouse. But
that's just the mentality that we've seen from him, and it makes sense. Like, this is just a for fun race.
Yeah,
he gives a shit about the Nice 45 owners points.
Yeah, I'm with you. I wouldn't be surprised to see him run up front. It's just a matter of if he can stay up front. He's going to make aggressive moves. The runs these trucks get are really fast and things happen quick. And he's going to be surrounded by guys that don't have much experience. As aggressive as Ricky Stenhouse Jr., I think there's, you try to predict what other drivers are going to do. And when guys don't have experience, it's very difficult to predict what they're going to do. There is a very easy path for Ricky Stenhouse to leave on the record here.
Yeah, so just pure GPP goodness here. Tons of upside, also tons of downside.
Yeah, I would say race winning upside. He's certainly capable of winning this race. Daniel Dice.
More so than anyone else in this range.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Maybe Lane Riggs, but even Lane Riggs hasn't been super competitive on plate races. Daniel Dye starts 31st. He's going to be an attractive play. He's making a start in one of these Ram trucks, which is always a little bit scary. But last year he was really good on plate races. In fact, it was the high point, I think, of his season last year was his performance on plate tracks. And now you get an opportunity to play him starting 31st.
Yeah, in both series too. He's pretty good at not dying, ironically, and finishing these races and over finishing where he's ran. It's all good things to have when you're chasing place differential for someone. I think I like Dye better than a lot of the guys in this range. You will probably have to still play a bit of him to go overweight, because once you hit the 30s, that's everyone knows to be dumping into these guys. Dye is someone I really don't mind being in my cash core.
Yeah, I'm with you. He's the easiest guy to get leverage on in this range, say for like Frankie Muniz and some of the other lower tier equipment guys. But yeah, I don't mind playing Daniel Dye, even if the Ram trucks are a little bit off. If Daniel Dye just stays in the back and lets 20 other guys wreck themselves, then he's going to finish around the top 10. So yeah, I like getting the leverage on Daniel Dye as well. Daniel Hemrick starts 32nd for McAnally Racing. Good plate racer, not standout by any means. Finished top 10 here last year. Just a fine play. Doesn't jump off the page other than his starting spot, but going to be very chalky for sure.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely on the safer side. He's just the evil, well, I guess the good twin of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. there in top tier equipment, but more on the conservative side. Maybe not as much upside, of course. Isn't really going to push too hard to wreck it or anything. He does kind of need the points for the season and all that. So,
yeah,
Hamrick definitely like a cash game lock.
Yeah, it does feel pretty safe. I mean, the upside is probably, obviously anybody can win this race, but I would be surprised to see him leading a pack and getting fast laps and laps led. But he's a guy that always just kind of runs in the top 10 when he avoids trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Frankie Muniz.
Hey.
Now, is it true there's a Malcolm in the Middle remake coming out or is out?
He hurt himself filming it last year. They were filming it in Vancouver, where low-key a lot of shows are filmed.
Interesting. So he just took all that money and bought a race car
later this year, I think.
And he took that paycheck and entered the Truck Series full time.
Yep.
Love it. Isn't that the American dream? Like, it's so hard to get into NASCAR. I'm just going to do something else very, very good and then use the money that I make from that and go drive race cars. Man, isn't that the dream? With that in mind, subscribe to the channel, like the video.
Yeah, maybe and maybe we can get you in a ride here soon enough.
Maybe someday, somehow. Frankie Muniz starts 32nd. If these are front row motorsports cars, then Frankie Muniz is certainly playable. He has looked okay at times, especially at plate races. Ran 11th at Daytona last year. That was a super chaotic race. I think he was barely inside the top 25 all day, and then that race got weird at the end. But he's improving. He's getting better. He's getting experience. Obviously, there's a ton of really good plays in this range, so he's going to be lower owned. But I don't hate, grabbing a cheap 7 to 10% leverage on Frankie Muniz and, praying for carnage.
Yeah, Muniz, obviously outsider coming in, not like a naturally gifted driver or anything. But I have noticed while sometimes his lack of speed just makes him finish towards the back, usually he's not finishing in the back due to mistakes of his own. Maybe at first, when he first started racing, he really is a respectful driver. And I think that is what rewarded him with that 11th place finish at Daytona last year. Average running position of 26. Bro is obviously just hanging back, just here to participate, not wreck the field. And he was blessed with damn near a top 10 by surviving all the carnage ahead of him. It's kind of what you're hoping for with this sort of play. This is sort of the range where we saw the guys at the very, very tail end maybe not score as much as the guys in the sweet spot. And that's because your lower tier skilled drivers or lower equipment drivers are here. And that's kind of what we're starting to get into with this range outside of, a couple of guys here. But yeah, Muniz, again, someone you don't have to play a ton of to get some leverage on. I don't mind being overweight on him, at least just a splash overweight, like 20% Muniz, starting 33rd. I think he hits optimal. I mean, even then, even with the guys starting the very, very back, they're hitting optimal 25% of the time, 15% ownership. I mean, you kind of do the math there. I don't mind meeting it in the middle, like 20%.
Yeah, I'm with you there. And Frankie Muniz, one of two drivers in this field that were at Daytona in 2001, the day we lost Dale Earnhardt. Fun piece of trivia, him and Tony Stewart. I think Frankie Muniz actually gave the command for that 2001 Daytona race. Tony Stewart, right? Say it again.
It wasn't Trump?
No, I'm pretty sure.
I guess it wasn't that big back then.
I have to go back and look. Yeah. I'm pretty sure in 2001, Frankie Muniz gave the command to start.
Yeah, Trump did the one where Ryan Newman wrecked.
Yeah, I think you're right.
He was and Tony, the Dale one, so he's always been bad luck.
And Tony Stewart also crashed out of that race, if I remember correctly. Spencer Boyd, I do not think was there that day, but he starts 34th. Spencer Boyd, just like low-key the GOAT of Daytona, just always finishes top 20, if not top 10, in equipment that doesn't really have any business running in the top 20. He's been really good here. You look at his track history, a top 5 a couple years ago, top 20 last year, a good run at top 15s, doesn't really make mistakes, doesn't get in wrecks.
And even better at Talladega. And I've actually talked to Spencer Boyd before, and I asked him what makes him so good at, it was Talladega at the time, but I asked him what makes him so good compared to some other drivers. And he just said that he doesn't have a death wish, and he's really just happy to be there and participate, is where he doesn't really have that desire to win. And it's ironic how that results in him having better finishes than the guys that are out there collecting the 30th places because they're making boneheaded moves for a win.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I really love Boyd. I think he's my favorite play in the slate.
Yeah, I think he's a easy guy to get leverage on too. Like we have it 33% here. I would be surprised if he's that owned in some contests. You can probably get some pretty easy leverage.
I think the word is out there. Everyone's kind of always known that Boyd is a winner at super speedways, always pretty good at them. But it's just he's perfectly set up to get the fast laps, avoid the big wrecks. He's kind of your most bona fide guy.
Yeah, I'm with you. I would love to show the race, but I think we'd get copyright. I would love to do a watch along, but we would get copyright stricken pretty quick. Maybe we should do a watch along for some race and just have maybe a Discord. Have scoring or just have the timing and scoring up and the lap counter or something. But the race will be on Fox and TSN and any other way that you can get enjoy television these days. Lane Riggs is going to be the chalk of the slate, but going to be upwards of 65% owned, starting 35th. Not a standout plate racer, had a good run at Talladega last year, but before that had never really run inside the top 10 at any plate race. He's a short track guy through and through, but still, you got a guy who's probably the favorite to win the championship, going to be probably one of the most dominant guys all year long now that Corey Heim has moved up and moved on. Hard to get away from Lane Riggs and a hard guy to fade.
But let's do it anyway.
I'll fade Lane Riggs. I don't mind it. I think it's just hard. What are you going to play him at 75% and get 10% leverage? At most.
So if he does what he's projected to do here, finish 15th with 4 fast laps, that's about the expectation here. That's still 49.8. It's not guaranteed to be optimal, right? How often does he make the optimal compared to his ownership? Does he make the optimal 64% of the time? I guess would be the question.
Yeah.
And that ownership could vary. I think it may even vary on the upward side of things. So if you're in some really big chalky contests, that ownership may be more of 70 some percent. Then it makes it even easier. Just from a basic game theory perspective here, sure, he could, even if he won't get negative 30 points, guys starting up in the front, right? What percentage of the time does he break that 50 fantasy point threshold? Compared to the rest of the guys this range that are anywhere from 15 to 40% owned, it's probably not that much more than a Spencer Boyd. He doesn't make the optimal twice as often as Spencer Boyd. I think they make the optimal about the same amount. So that's just basic DFS game theory for me. Not that I'm saying to full fade Lane Riggs or anything, but I'd be happy running 40, 50%.
Yeah. Ken says 40% Riggs. Here. That feels about right for me too. And the other part of this too, a fade of Lane Riggs is still playing him at 40%. That means 40% of your lineups are still live if he smashes. And it only takes one. So it's not like you're taking a huge stand on Lane Riggs. It's just, if he performs well, then you have a slightly less chance of hitting the optimal. And if he does poorly, then you have a very good chance of having a very positive lineup. So from a game theory perspective, if he's going to be this high owned, I don't mind being pretty significantly underweight, and you still have a good chance of getting a couple good lineups, even if he does smash.
Yeah, and he's had enough races now. We can kind of start to go back and look at his data, and early in runs, he's running 11.4 average position. Late in runs, 21.6. He's not really shown any sort of skill at super speedways. He's shown skill everywhere else. Don't get me wrong. Short tracks, he's out of this world. Yeah. Super speedways, though, he may just participate in these realistically. I think no matter what, 2/3 of the field is going to be jamming him, especially people trying, hand building, trying to build their salary. Those guys are going to be attracted to Lane Riggs like mosquitoes being attracted to the zapper. But I definitely can't lay under.
He definitely does feel like a free square when you're hand building. Mm-hmm. Kevin, what if you played 5 lineups in the main DK contest for fun? If that was my approach, I would probably play 1 or 2 lineups with Riggs, mm-hmm. because if I'm trying to finish first, and I'm going to have a much better chance of having a unique first place lineup without Riggs than I will without than I would with him. So yeah, if you're going to do 5 hand builds in the main big contest, I would be 1 or 2 lineups with Riggs max, and then try to hit a unique winner and finish first. That would just be my approach. If you want a more conservative approach, I would probably play him in 3 or 4. But yeah, I don't think, especially in the big contests, I don't mind doing hand builds without Riggs.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I would do 2.
A third Canadian starting 36.
You're the Canadian today.
The Canadian contingent is just all over. What is it? Eastern Florida, Southern Florida, all over Daytona. He starts
Eastern Florida.
Eastern, perfect. That's what I'm gonna do. Run 2. Thanks. Yeah, good luck, Kev. I think that's a good move. And if he smashes, then you got to go play the O'Reilly race tomorrow and get another shot at it. Mm-hmm. Jason White has always been okay. He's pretty consistently run about 20th every time he runs here. I think he hit the optimal with that once. If he ran 20th, he'd be a pretty good 40 kind of points. Maybe not.
I don't think 20th is enough.
Probably not enough to hit it, but not enough.
20th, yeah, get you like 38 points. We need 50. So these guys in the rear, we will be needing to find the guys that end up with the, like the 11th from Frankie Muniz. That's what we're looking for here. Yeah,
but still not a guy that's going to kill your lineup if he goes out and runs 20th or 18th. Those lineups are still live to cash. So I don't mind playing Jason White here in this Rayum truck. He's been pretty consistent, never really starting parks or anything like that.
He keeps his nose down and finishes races.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe not a guy that's going to hit the optimal very often, but doesn't a pretty high floor feels like for a guy like Jason M. White.
Not to play him in cash, yeah.
Not to be mistaken with Jason White, who also runs in the truck series.
The other Jason M. White.
That's right. And then
I think starting 37 White, right? So it's always been super annoying for data.
Yeah. Starting 37th, Mini Tyrell, winner of the Drive for the Seat Dodge program reality TV show that they had over the offseason. As far as I know, Mini Tyrell has never had run anything on a plate track. Has a lot of experience in the Cars Tour, really good late model driver, but making his debut in the truck series and at Daytona. Fine play, like similar to Jason M. White. Seems like he has a pretty high floor, but not a guy I would expect to go and naturally compete for a top 10. Could carnage his way in there, but I suspect this is more of a learning opportunity for him, and we're going to see him be more competitive down the road at shorter, flatter tracks.
I think my take with Mini is that he's so inexperienced. I think he's just going to be the carnage. Like, what's his incident rate here for his first ever super speedway race? Or do you think because I don't see him pussyfooting it is the thing. Like with other guys, have no experience at super speedways. They'll at least like pussyfoot and get like a 20th just by not wrecking. I think he'll get in there and get active, but man, I can't see him finishing this race.
Yeah, and the other thing with like some of these younger guys, Mini Tyrell is only 19 or 20 years old. He might not have any starts in the on a plate track. I guarantee he's got about 200 starts on iRacing. True. On a plate track. So there is a level of confidence, whether it's right or wrong, that comes with that. Do expect Mini Tyrell to get in and mix it up, but could end up on the back of the record too. A guy that we just don't know enough about. He was good in the Cars Tour, has some late model success, but a big question mark going into this race. Not a guy I'm going to be overweight on, but not a guy I'm looking to be underweight on either. Probably just match the field for Mini.
Yeah, he's the polar opposite to Jason M. White in this slate, the way I see it. And as of right now, I do not have him in my cash lineup, which is absurd because I always have the guy in the very back, like the very, very back. But
yeah,
I don't know.
And then look what they did to my GOAT. Timmy Hill did not make the race. Can't play Timmy Hill.
No, my free square.
Look at the top track history.
My free square.
Actually surprising to see him not make the race. I wonder what happened there with that qualifying run, but we got to get rid of Timmy Hill. We can't play him. He's not going to make the start. So unlucky. We delete. There we go. That's all 37 drivers broken down one by one. Before we sign off, as we approach about an hour, a little more than an hour until lock, let's take another look back at the Domination Station and just do a run here. Let's start with a one lineup run, see what Jesus likes. We'll stack at most one player. And I want to put this as the top 15. So I'm going to go down here to Dominator and select 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, and 15th as a Dominator. So with a rule, stack at most one Dominator. That guarantees that the lineup it gives us will only have at most one guy starting in the top 15, and maybe in some lineups, none at all. I'm going to leave randomization at 0 for this, just for this one lineup. Hit optimize and see what it gives us. Yeah, and it's just going to stack the back. Riggs, Stenhouse, Hemrick, Rhodes, Dye, and Spencer Boyd. I suspect that's going to be a lot of people's cash lineup.
Yeah, I think for cash, I would honestly just swap Ricky out for Jason and White.
Yeah.
For reasons, yeah.
And even in this, even this cash lineup, leaving 2,800 on the table. So salary, absolutely not an issue here.
Yeah, we've seen optimal lineups in the truck series here leave 18,000 on the table.
Yeah.
So don't worry about salary one bit.
Let's go ahead and run 150 as well. Maybe 18% randomization, or is that a little heavy?
I think for showing people, there's no point in having randomization.
Yeah, fair enough. And one unique or two unique for
two.
A run? Two uniques.
This is the one of the few ones I would put two uniques on.
Let's see what that does for us. Dun, 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 dun. Hurry. I say hurry as if this isn't doing like a magic trick and like sorting 150 lineups with all the constraints and restrictions that apply.
Yeah.
Okay. Lane Riggs still wants to be overweight on Lane Riggs. We know why. Obviously, just a good play in theory. Very bullish on Stenhouse and Hemrick. All those guys starting 30th. Agrees with us on Rhodes. Wants to be bullish on Rhodes. That's based on track history. And still very bullish on Spencer Boyd and Daniel Dye.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting. Wants to match the field on Mini Tyrell. That's about what we said. Let's go down to the bottom and see who he wants to be underweight on.
You can also see who's left out completely.
Yeah.
With the option up top.
Let me
show unexposed players.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, left a lot of guys off.
No Tony Stewart. It doesn't believe.
Doesn't want to play any Tony Stewart. Doesn't want to play any Hocevar McDowell. Doesn't buy into my
that's where the minimum rule is going to come into effect big time.
Yeah. No Honeycutt, no Stewart. Yeah, just mostly the guys starting in the top 15, and then a couple of the guys starting in the top 20. Doesn't want to play any Josh Rayum. Didn't read the same report that I did about those being front row motorsports trucks. Fair enough. Yes. The other thing I want to do, we have odds yet, but let's take a look. We'll go to NASCAR Truck Series, not out yet. Let me check on DraftKings on my other screen. But while I do that, Taco, do you have a win pick for tonight?
Gosh, it's a really hard one. Am I allowed to say Tony Stewart, even though I know he won't win?
I put a bet on Tony Stewart to win. I think that's just an emotional kind of thing. I bet him at the start of the week at plus 2,500.
Yeah, I think it's emotional. Like if he wins, I'll be happy enough. I don't care if I lose money on the slate. If bro wins, it's sick. It's my emotional hedge.
Fair enough.
For me, give me so I'm not gonna pick a Ram. I would pick Haley, but I don't know about the Rams yet. Let's be real. Yeah, give me a Hocevar win. Yeah,
Hocevar. I'm seeing DraftKings just did put odds up. They have Hocevar as the favorite at plus 700.
I was looking at the shit. I didn't see. Gosh, now I feel lame picking the heavy favorite. But I mean,
no,
that guy at Super Speedways.
We'll go through these really quick, and I'll leave it to the chat too. See if they can give us any win picks here.
Hocevar cut in the Heim car as a co-favorite or co-second favorite.
Hocevar seems like a pretty good pick. He seems like he's just going to have the confidence to kind of dominate the field in a way. And he was so good in the Clash yesterday. Comes in with a lot of momentum. Anything else here jump off the page? Timothy Tyrell. Come on, DraftKings. Terrible.
Rhodes, maybe?
Yeah, Rhodes kind of
Yeah, scroll down a bit, but he's like, what, 30?
22. These are there's a lot of hold on these odds.
Oh, yeah. I mean, let's be real. These are raked like 30% at this point, being so close to lock. But I mean,
does host have to go to the rear after the transmission explosion?
Not sure. Matter.
Yeah, if he does have to go to the back, not a real concern. But that must have happened after we went live. So I will check out. We'll update you on the Discord if there's any changes. But if he goes to the back, it doesn't matter. He can drive through really easy. I'll go Stenhouse. I think Stenhouse
there you go.
Is an interesting spot. Plus 1,300 is probably a little shorter than I would have hoped, especially as far back as he's starting. But I'll go Stenhouse, and maybe you can go and find better odds than plus 1,300 here or there.
So you can get a perfect 1-for-1 victory rate in the Truck Series.
Didn't Casey Kane do that, and then he retired? Or maybe Casey Kane ended up having more Truck starts. I think he did, but he did make his debut in the Truck Series, win, and then skedaddled. With all that said, you're ready to go make your lineups. Go get them put in.
Mm-hmm.
If you need Domination Station, all these things we've talked about, Research Station, cheat sheets, all available at dfsarmy.com/NASCAR. We have a promo code going on right now. Daytona 26, 20% off any membership, gets you access to all the things we've used, the Research Station, which is super valuable to me when I'm handicapping these races. You also get cheat sheets. We do driver breakdowns for every single driver in every single race, driver by driver, and then also the Domination Station, which you've seen as we've used it over the course of the stream, just how valuable it is and how easy it is to make big runs of lineups. You can do up to 600 at a time. Pretty awesome. If you want to get involved, you also get access to our Discord where we talk about this stuff all day and all night. So if you want to get involved, head over to dfsarmy.com/NASCAR. Code Daytona. The links are on the description as well. We will be back tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
What time's the race tomorrow?
Busy week. What is it at? 3, 5.
Qualifying 5. In the morning, races at 5. So we'll probably do something mid-afternoon.
It's a good amount of time to make lineups. 6 hours.
Yeah, that's nice. On Valentine's Day, no less. So we will do a Valentine's Day stream tomorrow. Not sure what time, but we will let you know in the Discord. Until then, enjoy the races tonight. It should be one of the funnest races of the weekend. One of the most fun races of the weekend.
Sorry, wives. Sorry, girlfriends. It's Speed Weeks, baby.
It is what it is. We will see you tomorrow. Until then, Taco, your famous line.
Helmets up, fellas.
Also, like and subscribe.
Money for that.